However, one of the most memorable characters in the history of gaming is Arthur Morgan, a cowboy in the West yearning for redemption. Arthur was born in 1863 when the American West was rife with looting and robbery. His father was a criminal and was imprisoned for theft when Arthur was a child. With no parents, Arthur began a life of wandering the streets. By the time winter arrived in 1877, he had come across the two pivotal figures in his existence, Dutch and Josiah. They not only taught him survival skills, but also gave him a sense of belonging. Arthur saw Dutch and Josiah as father figures and was full of fantasies and expectations for the world envisioned by Dutch. In 1878, they founded the Van der Linde gang, and they also robbed the rich to give to the poor, took in some homeless people, and even did not abandon fallen women. Soon, the gang gradually grew and became a harmonious family. Arthur also had his own love life. The young Arthur met his first love, Mary. Due to his identity, Mary's parents disagreed, and they were eventually forced apart. Later, Arthur met his wife, Eliza, and they had a child together, but unfortunately, good times did not last long. One day, Arthur came back home to see his family and discovered the tragic loss of his spouse and offspring. The assailants took their lives for mere dollars, an act which deeply wounded Arthur, hardening his demeanor. As America edged toward modern civilization, the Van der Linde gang found themselves compelled to flee. Fangzhou Lu 1899 was a turbulent year, and it was the year when the ideals of Arthur's Van der Linde gang began to be extinguished. In May 1899, with the failure of the Blackwater robbery, the Van der Linde gang paid a heavy price for it. They had to start a life of escape, but after Feindenbaugh successfully robbed the train in Cornwall, they fled to Horse Palm King Terrace, which can be regarded as a quiet and stable life. One day, Strauss wanted Arthur to help collect debts. This job made Arthur very disgusted, and once mentioned in his diary that it was a dirty job. He was forced to have deep feelings for gangs. For the sake of gangs, he could go against his heart and do anything as long as he was good to gangs. He was more loyal to gangs than to himself, until the two appearances of his first love, Mary, ignite Arthur's idea of leaving the gang. What Arthur really wanted, perhaps never, was a life of gang fighting and killing, but a warm family like John. But Arthur didn't do this in reality, because the gang needed him more at this time. Dutch became more and more crazy in a series of turmoil, robbing and chasing again and again, which made Arthur begin to question his beliefs. The defeat of the St. Denis robbery not only made his old father Hushao fall in front of Arthur. The key members of the group were also compelled to flee to Guam Island, where Arthur observed Dutch's transformation. Arthur also has his midlife crisis. Upon returning, Arthur was diagnosed with tuberculosis at the end of his life. In the final moments of his life, Arthur chose the path of redemption, helping those who had once suffered because of him. He used his last time to give John a complete future. On Arthur's last night, he faced the Pinkertons' firepower alone. Micah's deadly battle and the cold gaze of Dutch ultimately depleted his life. Arthur defended his beliefs with his life, even though he knew it might be too late to save anything. Arthur showed us that true bravery is not the absence of fear of death. Instead is knowing how to live. At the break of dawn, the hero fades, and so ends the life of Arthur Morgan, absurdly real, yet filled with warmth. This legendary outlaw used his life to illustrate what true redemption means. As the sun rises, he quietly departed from this life, leaving a mythic story to be eternally immortalized in history.